Well, hello there everyone on YouTube. We are going to start another virtual painting session today. This is going to be another portrait painting, and if anyone's interested in painting or drawing from the same photo reference, after the stream ends, I will do you a favor and post a picture of it in the community section of my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get started here. Hey John, Brenda, Gary. Gary, hope all of you are doing well. So I'm going to start, as you know, with the Umber sketch. With this one, I'm working on a 12 by 16 inch oil primed linen, fine textured, double oil primed, fine textured linen. So hello there, Luis, from the Netherlands. Hello from here in Beltsville, Maryland. So I'm going to just use raw umber to start, a little bit of my Gamsol, and I'm just going to quickly get an idea of how big I want the head to be. Usually about the size of my hand is good. This is going to be a a basic head and shoulders kind of thing. So I'd say chin maybe about here, and I don't know, top of the hairline, or maybe a little lower. The top of the hairline would be over here, which gives me room for the flowers. Flowers would rest somewhere about there, and I think that's a good size. Good generic placement. Nothing too elaborate here. Head's going to be centered on a horizontal, but it's going to be raised on a vertical. What's up, Harjot? Harjot has entered the chat. What's up, buddy? Alright, here's the bottom of her shirt. Yes, this is the same model from the last time that I did a portrait. I have been working with this model for a while now. I'm doing a couple figure paintings of her. She's posing for me. Great model. So there. How about the neck will be about there. And I don't know. Falls down over here. I'm using a size 2. This is a size 2 filbert, fairly used up. As you can see, the bristles are pretty beat up. Filbert Silver Brush Grand Prix. All of the materials are listed in the description box of this video. Different angle, yep, same pose, different angle. This is the most difficult angle. If you would ask me, that's the most difficult angle when you're gonna draw or paint someone. Front and center. Let me tell you, front and center. The problem is always with symmetry, but we're not all perfectly symmetrical. I am definitely not. If you would look at my head, I'm definitely not perfectly symmetrical. Our model does come very close to almost perfect symmetry, so I'm gonna have to definitely much closer than I am to perfect symmetry. So I'm gonna have to think a little more carefully when I place the proportions. And moving a little bit slow for the start, but this will pick up in a little bit. Well, I know it's a little different now, but it's great to have you here, Arjot and everyone. Oh, Kathy made it here. Happy Wednesday. Okay, so let's guesstimate where the eyes are gonna go. Somewhere about yay, nose, somewhere about there. Whatever. These are just guesstimations. All of this will be made more specific later on. Okay, so now we're going to work our way down. Start to draw out the cast shadow. Simple and abstract. Like I always say, these are not lessons. These are virtual painting sessions. I do try to add some commentary aimed at explaining what I'm doing, but for instructional content, please check out my Patreon, where I teach online classes. My moderators are online students of mine in the live stream tier in my online classes. So let's quickly sketch this in. And I want to say this is very much my go-to approach for anything, not just portrait painting, still life painting, figure painting, basically all representational painting. I work in this way, from very simple abstract without any without too much measurement, although I do teach my students how to measure. I have a very step-by-step kind of system that I guide my students through before jumping into something like this. So starting out like this is not recommended if you are an absolute beginner. If you're watching this as a pre-recorded video after the stream had ended, definitely what I would recommend is to do a lot of drawing. Have a lot of drawing practice before starting like this. There we have a link to our online classes. Alright, so let's start to get the composition figured out a little better. So I am going to paint in that reflection that you're seeing behind her. And as far as the how long this painting will take, I will work on it a little bit outside of the stream, but not much, not as much as last time. It may take more than 3 streams, I'm thinking, to complete this one. So we're looking at probably 2 weeks or so of painting footage with this one. So everyone watching this live, if you have any art related questions, please feel free to ask. Let's keep it art related. I'm putting in some accent marks for the tear ducts, bottom of the nose, top of the eye socket is also the top corner of the eyebrow. Follow through, cast shadow. And this is an alla prima style start for a painting that's going to have at least 3 layers or so, maybe more. And we're going to soon enter the awkward stages. And the awkward stage is awkward stage in a portrait painting is once it starts to look human. That's really when the awkward stages begin. And then you just work through it. Just because we're used to looking at unfinished faces all the time, we're not used to looking at unfinished faces all the time. Excuse me. We're used to looking at completed faces, so to speak, completed faces. So when we see a face that's unfinished, it can be the thing of nightmares sometimes for us. I will keep my narration to a minimum, especially if I'm not hearing or reading any questions. If I don't see any questions from the public, then I won't speak as much. So feel free to ask if you have any questions, art related, of course. Hey Kathy, what brush and the size brush size and color I'm using to draw. Using raw umber, Williamsburg raw umber, and just Gamsol to thin out the brush, to thin out the paint, and size 2 silver brush Grand Prix filbert. All right, Monique. Does anybody? Oh, I don't know the answer to that question. But Monique, I think that they could probably answer that on Patreon when it comes to the billing. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a little bit of a thirds check. So this to this should be a third, roughly. Eyebrow to nose, another third, which works. Nose to chin, about another third. So that about works out. That means it's in the human direction, which is good. Human is good. A few little marks down here. Now the camera is at an angle with respect to the painting, so it's now reaching a point where the angle is going to affect the way it looks. And so, to me, I feel like the nose, not the nose, but the face is a little bit more round. It needs to be more angular. But it's going to look a little different on the camera. Okay, so feel free to ask me any art questions. I'm probably not going to ask that very much. So I'll just be painting here quietly and answer whichever questions that I can. Squinting a little bit. I'm going to unify this into just one shape for the eye socket. Alright, the end. Let's look at your question or comment. Does it make sense that I would want to draw / paint photos that have shadows than one with no shadows, because it's really hard to make a face look like a face by just features? I would say always go for shadows. I heard one person once say that photographers try to eliminate shadows and painters try to create shadows. So definitely go for shadows. Use the shadow tones to help you draw. And if you hate drawing, you can still love painting. Painting is drawing with color. To me, it's just more fun to draw this way. Now, if I can get the shape of the eye socket, I might be in a good place. So this is from a picture. I will paint from a picture as a last resort. I usually prefer to paint from a live model. The model that you're seeing here does pose for me. She's one of my models, so I'm familiar with her facial features. So I'm able to find things in the photograph that don't quite add up to working from life. So a combination of things. Okay, that should be about good. Maybe I'm gonna adjust the position of the mouth. Yeah. And really what I'm looking for is the distance from the bottom of the nose down to the top middle of the upper lip. The mouth can be drawn with just a couple brush strokes, so that's not the issue. The issue is getting the placement from here to here. That's what I'm more focused on. The shape of the mouth doesn't really matter as much, just a line. What I want is the placement. Hey Christine, when did you tone the canvas? I toned this maybe about a month or 2 months ago. I tone it with Alkyd oil paint, Alkyd black and white oil paint, diluted with odorless mineral spirits. Let's see, Monique. Yes, in question. Do you also let it dry completely before you begin to draw? Yeah, definitely. Sometimes the odorless mineral spirits will take some of the tone out, and that's okay. But yeah, I let it dry completely. And I use Alkyd oil paints to tone canvases, so really it's dry enough to work on overnight. If I was in a pinch, I could still tone a painting or a canvas overnight, and it still would be usable. It just so happens that this one happened to have been toned like a good, say, month or two ago. Okay, all right. I think we're about good. Get into color. I clean this brush off a little bit. I'll probably use it for dark accents. Okay, all right. So for the colors that I'm using, I tend to mix intuitively. I don't go right into any kind of predetermined mixtures. Though the way I teach in my online classes, we begin with the Zorn palette. We begin with 4 colors. Eventually we make it up to, this is 20 something colors. So for starters, I'm using lead white. When I begin, I use lead white number 1. When I end painting, I use lead white number 2. So I begin with the linseed lead white, end with the walnut lead white. I'm using lead tin yellow, transparent mummy, a little bit of cadmium green pale. Now the coloring is all off in the picture. I did the best I could with that picture, but nothing can really mimic life. I'm using burnt sienna until I get a nice color that's usable. And flake white is a perfect color to begin a painting with. It dries fast. It is very archival. Incredibly lean. So it's just all around great to start your paintings with. Just don't eat it when you handle paint tubes or clean palettes. Wear gloves. Keep your hands off the front of the brush. Always keep your hands further back. That's really something you have to do anyway with painting. It doesn't help to try to draw like this, like you're taking the SATs or some kind of exam, or the MCAT for those of you that are doctors or whatever. If that's even the test, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen my college friends. But you just hold the brush as far back as you can. Be careful with the paint, and you can use lead white without any problems. Unless it's banned in your area, then of course that's a different story. Hey Emmanuel, thank you for the love from Ireland. Sending you my greatest regards from here in Beltsville, Maryland. Edward Soto, we got a question or a comment. Let's see. Something that can help painting from photos, using 2 photos, one exposing just right for the light and another for the shadows. Good idea. Thanks for the comment there, Edward Soto. And the way I work is I kind of just go for the midtones, but in reality I kind of just go for whatever. I paint very free. Of course, my online classes are more rigorous. This is just more at my own pace, at my own leisure. I could have started easily with the mouth if I wanted to. I don't really care. I'm just starting. Remind yourself you're just getting started. Don't over-psych yourself out with the beginning stages of a painting. Hello there, Thurman Art. Let's see. Monique, so you love this gaze from the model. That's great. I do have I started a second big figure painting for her, where she's going to be posing in 3 different positions. One of them is almost exactly like this one, where she's staring right out from the canvas, which is always pretty fun to paint. I did switch to size 4 filbert bristle brush, Grand Prix, size 4 extra long filbert. And I'm going to use the gray tone of the canvas whenever is most necessary. A little more lead tin yellow. We're gonna go for a really cool note. Lead tin yellow. This is Cinnabar green light. Got a nice highlight here. And we're gonna reach another awkward stage soon. Eventually. Like I said, it kind of happens once the painting starts to go from non-human looking to human looking. Like right from non-human to human is when it starts to have awkward stages, but you quickly work past them. The more experience you have, the less time you'll spend in the awkward stages. And this is a painting that I want to take fairly far. So I'm going to give myself all the time and all the space I need to take this painting to a pretty decent level. Thanks for the emojis. Although right now, of course, it probably looks like the stuff of nightmares. And I'm glad no one has said that yet. I'm sure someone will. And right now we're just exploring the canvas. Painting tone for tone. Lighter and more greenish orangey. I'm going with cadmium green pale. Hey, yeah, it's the teenage stage of the painting. That's correct. Let's see. Oh, you mean the sternocleidomastoid, the neck? Yeah, it's right over here. But I'm not gonna put in any of the stuff for the neck just quite yet. But thanks for pointing that out. Her shoulder is raised, so her neck muscle is tense a little there. So just putting in whatever I feel. Whatever I want. Mainly mid-tone focused. But I don't say these kind of things when I'm teaching, of course. When I teach, I have a very... I have 7 projects that I just completed. We just completed for my online classes, which are going to be 7 fundamental projects that are very step-by-step, leading all the way up to a large John Singer Sargent study and a painting from life exercise, where everything is very, very methodical, step-by-step. I don't move at this kind of pace when I'm teaching. This is very close to how I actually paint, with some exceptions. For the most part, I'm using the same brush. We have a question, or let's see. Do you study anatomy? I have trouble remembering it. Yeah, Emmanuel, a long time ago. The anatomy you want to learn. So here's what someone told me. First, you paint what you see. Then you paint what you know. Then you know what you see when you paint. So, for example, when you're just getting into painting and you haven't studied anatomy, then you're just painting purely what you're seeing. Once you start learning anatomy, you're like, whoa, I know all this stuff with anatomy, and you want to show it, everything that you know with anatomy, and like every brushstroke shows some kind of anatomical thing, even if it's not really there. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, I know that the anatomy's here and I know that it's there. And you just use it to help you guide the placement of things. Just anatomy helps you place stuff. But yeah, I did study a lot of anatomy. I mean, not a ton, of course. I'm not like a doctor, but I do know some of the anatomy. I forget the terms a lot, but I remember the structures, and I think that's what's most important, if you remember the structures. Hey, Antun. Oh, hello there from Croatia. Hello from Beltsville, Maryland. One of my favorite YouTubers is from Croatia, although I don't really watch YouTube as much. But one of my favorite YouTubers is this tarantula person named his name is Petko. Well, that's his his show name. His YouTube channel is called The Dark Den. If anyone else here is into like tarantulas and all kinds of bugs and things. Careful. Let's try to keep this as professional art related as possible, my friend. Oh, that's true. As Kathy said in the live stream tier in my online classes is really where you can ask us all the art related questions that come to mind. Okay, eye sockets, I'm going to leave them be for now. Now I'm going to work around the maxilla. Oh wow, thank you so much for the super chat from Brenda. Thank you so much for the super chat. I wish I had some confetti to play. Thank you, Brenda. So kind of you. Hey Hassan, hello there from thanks for watching from Kenya. Hello there from Beltsville, Maryland. And let's all say thank you to Brenda for the super chat. Super chats keep us YouTubers doing our thing. Ooh, I just went and messed up the shape of that highlight. It needs to be a little thinner and actually darker up here. Now let me get a brush for the shadow tone. Okay. Alright, raw umber, burnt sienna. Let's use a little more burnt sienna. Terre Verte. Hey Fabian, the best way to learn to paint is practice. Let's see. What do I do with? Oh, okay. So with all of the studies, I get your question. I basically took hundreds of paintings off of their stretchers. Maybe not hundreds, maybe about like maybe 200 paintings or so off of their stretchers. Either tore them up or reused the stretchers. Like for example, pretty much all my stretchers are reused. And a lot of times, if you go to the art store, the wood that they use for some of those canvases that they sell is actually pretty good, I'd say. putting in some of the accents. For the shadows, and when I put a brush stroke in this direction instead of this one, I will tend to get a glare. So I'm going to use a hake brush. That's even how you pronounce it. Shortly, I'll show you what it is. My blending brush. I use the canvas itself sometimes to clean off the brush, because why not? Oh, you think that's what it, toxic materials? That's what you meant. That's, yeah. If you know, if you look up hazardous waste, you can just drive your, take all your materials that you've used up to a hazardous waste dump. Or if you have a friend that does mechanics, they'll just take it with their stuff and dispose it for you. So yeah, I have a mechanic friend that does that. Good question, which I misinterpreted. Oh, okay, never mind. So I was right the first time. Whoops. Again, thank you so much, Brenda, for your contribution to my YouTube channel. Hey, Carol. Carol has entered the live stream. We're just starting a painting here. Painting is in its infancy. A little bit of Cadmium Scarlet. Let's see, question D. Baker. Let's see, I probably misread. D. Picard. Sorry, I don't think I can pronounce your name right. I apologize. Is there any difference between Rosemary paintbrushes with other brands? I have not tried Rosemary, but I can definitely vouch for the brushes I'm currently using. This is Silver Brush brand, Silver Brush Grand Prix bristle brushes. Pretty much my favorite brushes all around to use, especially the size 4. The size 4 bristle. Bristle brushes are nice because they can carry a ton of paint. I like to finish with sables, but beginning with bristles really helps me because I can carry a bunch of paint really easily. I cannot compare them with Rosemary brushes. I've heard a lot about Rosemary brushes, but I've never tried them. Speaking of, somebody was talking about environmental stuff. That's another motivator for my scrap piles. So if you look at my scrap piles on the palette right over here, scrap, this is all the white, whatever is left, the dirty white, scrap, put it here. All of the paint, get with a palette knife, mix it together. All of the scrap, put it here. That way I'm not tossing out a bunch of lead white in the trash. Also, I can use my scrap pile. But if you're thinking about the environmental aspect of it, it actually helps. Carol, let's see. So you're painting the general color masses. Yep, this is true. Yep, just blocking in. Nothing specific. It won't get specific for a while. I tend to keep it as basic as I can for as long as I can. Hey Zenar, oh thank you. Each painting starts rather different. Sometimes I just go right for specifics. Other times I'm a little more relaxed with it, like today. So every scenario is a little different, and it'd be kind of boring if it was always the same, I think. A little bit of Cerulean Blue. And you know, someone that I've painted with always asks me, how do you get past the light and shadow? How do you get past the light and shadow stages in a painting? And to answer that question, no one has asked me that here yet, but to answer that question, you just have to really think three-dimensionally when you're painting sculptural. Knowing anatomy definitely helps, but there's something more structural that goes into it. Like obviously, this is the frontal ridge. That's not an obvious thing, I'm sorry, but this is the frontal ridge of the skull curving around here. This is the superciliary arch for the skull. This is the frontal, well, her frontal eminence isn't as out there here. Hers is more of a gentle curve. But it's not so much about knowing the anatomy of it, but knowing how to think as a sculptor would. Plane, 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 plane. Hey John Machine. What's up? Okay. Now you see with each plane, it's becoming more and more solid. At least I'd like to tell myself it is. And the tone of the canvas is very useful. Before I used to work on warm, I used to work on raw umber. Just raw umber thinned out with spike lavender is what I used to use to tone. And lately I've found that it's just easier to work on the gray because the lights look like lights, the darks look like darks, and it helps to pull the skin tones forward a little more when you're working in alla prima like this, an alla prima style start. Hey Carol, what do I mean by solid? Meaning the volumetric, meaning dimensional. That's what I mean by solid. And really the best way to learn that is to work from life, work from nature, Project 7 in the online classes. Project 7, that's the one that really helps with this. Millie Meow, hello there. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, thank you for your compliment about details. Let's see. I started practicing portraits in acrylic, but they always look cartoonish. Do they have any key tips to make them look more real? So the word realistic is a relativistic term. If by realistic you mean more naturalistic, like looking like it's a person in front of you, not just photorealistic. If you mean naturalistic in the sense that it looks like a human being, my best advice would be to just get a mirror and draw yourself from a mirror. I do have my online lessons that build students up to that point, but for anyone watching, just do self-portraits from a mirror, because it's so much faster. You learn so much faster when you're forced to look at a mirror and really see what's in front of you and not necessarily just copy it from a picture. Painting from a picture is clearly not the best example. I admit it's not the best example to show someone that's just getting into painting. If I had my way, I can't afford it. I just can't afford to have a model posing here while I'm doing YouTube. I just can't, because I am paying a model. I'm paying a model to pose for me for my own studio work, and I can't afford both. So if you can paint yourself from a mirror, and I've done that before on YouTube, but if you can paint yourself from a mirror, that's one of the best ways you can get better at technique. My best advice I can give you. Hey, Julie. Hey, Vanessa, Lean. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Also, still life. How could I forget? Still life is a great way to improve in painting, because you can paint from life. It's like we did last time. Still life painting. I just happen to really like portraits, so it's kind of hard not to paint a portrait. Hey, Ellen. Let's see, you're accenting with a bit of blue and green in the initial stage. Yes, I do use blue and green. It's very different from the say project 2, maybe like project 1 all the way up to project 6. I usually don't go into cool colors this fast in the online classes, Ellen, as you saw. But when I actually paint on my own, I do use a lot of blues and greens in the beginning. And I try to key the lights from the get-go. Speaking of light key, let's start to get some of the lighter values now. Hey, sewing machine workshop. Oh, thank you. Sewing. Sewing. Sewing machine workshop. Thank you. Thanks, Ellen. Hey, sewing machine workshop. Have you heard of Frank Covino from USA? No, I haven't, unfortunately. Oh, did I miss a question? Ah, yes, I do paint in layers, but not to create skin tones. I paint in layers just because I don't paint that fast. It takes me multiple layers to complete a painting. But yeah, layering does help to achieve certain effects with skin tones, but it's not like I'm planning out this to be a certain color so that I can layer over it later so it can look different. No, I'm just going right for color that I want. Oh, I'm glad that you like the advice, Muley. But a lot of this is going to be done wet on wet. I'm just now stating the masses. So I'm going to work into this. I don't know how long I'll stream. We're about to pass the 1 hour mark soon. But I'll probably be here for maybe 2 hours. And likely I'll just work with the skin tones of the face without getting into the hair. Just for the sake of time. And maybe next time we can go into the hair. Like I said, I'm not going to paint on it as much off camera. I may do some things here and there, but not very much. So the majority of it will be done on camera here. Oh yes, yeah. Let's try to keep it art questions only, but I can answer that one. I am 29, turning 30 really soon. Okay, so we can push some of these darker accents now. And Evelyn, oh, thanks for your comment. Hey, Lydia. Huh? You know Madeline? Oh, okay. That's a good question. How important do I think a sense of humor is to an artist today? That really depends on the artist's personality. I don't think that it's something that should be forced in art. I don't think that it should be forced, but if the artist has a certain personality type that they like to incorporate humor into their work, then that's perfectly fine. But I don't really think it should be forced. Thanks, Monique. No problem. See if I missed anything. Now I'm gonna have to switch to size 2. Size 2 silver brush, Grand Prix, Filberts. Hey, sewing machine. This is a double oil primed, fine textured Classens linen that has been toned with alkyd oil paint. And I stretched it on a 12 by 16 canvas. Or I stretched it on 12 by 16 stretchers. Let's see, how long, so Neverland, how long do I think it would take to master oil painting? That, I could be alive for another 40 years and I may not even be able to answer that question then. I think that mastering oil painting is relative, what is a mastery of anything, right? We could know decades of knowledge, have decades of knowledge on a certain subject, and still be beginning. There's so much that can be done. But for me, I'd say everyone learns at their own pace. Having the right teachers definitely helps. One person, you could spend 6 years trying to learn something on your own that you could learn in 6 months with the right teachers. I feel like I've been very fortunate to have had the right teachers in my education. So I was very fortunate to have the right teachers when I was very young. And I will say that is a very important thing. Now, obviously, hard work is the bulk of it, but having the right teaching, having teachers that have studied with notable teachers. My teachers studied with other teachers who studied with other teachers. There's a lineage there. Now, with each new bit of information, there comes another awkward stage. So now that I'm starting to put some stuff in for eyes, Welcome to a new awkward stage. That's just the way it is. It's all good. Embrace the awkward stage. Feel it, enjoy it, and then surpass it. So she has hazel eyes, so I'm gonna just go in with Viridian and then put some orange in it later or something. Hey Ruth Woods, hello. And I want to make a comment about painting from pictures. If I haven't, suppose I'm painting someone from a picture that I never met, I guarantee you I will not paint it as strongly as painting a portrait of someone that I have met and painted from life, having needing to work from a picture. So I have painted her many times from life. This looks nothing like her yet, and I know this. I accept it. It's fine. I'm giving myself time to get there. But had I never painted her from life, forget it. There's no way I'd be able to get anywhere near the likeness, which is why I don't mess with celebrity pictures or like you're not going to see me paint a picture of someone that's famous or something just because of the sake of painting it, because it just won't happen. I won't get the same effect in the painting. I'd have to be a magician to be able to do that. Hey Ruth, I'm good. Oh yeah, I'm glad you like the advice, Evelyn. Okay, alright, so I think we're getting somewhere with the eyes. Hey Ruth, no, I don't work in acrylics. I have, but I primarily work. I only work with oil paint. I have a video or two, I think, on here using acrylic, but I mainly use I only use oil paint at this point. Hey Rogue Vlogs, did you use any color for the underpainting? I don't have an underpainting with this. I only really use underpaintings in my if I'm trying to teach these days, to teach a method. In my own painting, I don't really use underpaintings. I tell you what I do though. With my studio work, I do studies. I do plenty of studies before committing to a large composition. Oh yes, I do use raw umber for the drawing, if that's what you meant. Yep, I do. Hey, Bat. Oh, thank you. Hey, Ruth. Do you like to grind your own paints like the old masters? I would if I knew how. I haven't grinded up my own paints. I have, these are all like store-bought paints. It's a combination of Winsor, Newton, Williamsburg, Rublev, Old Holland, Michael Harding. I think those are all the brands that I use. Oh, and Gamblin. Right, I have some Gamblin colors. So I would really like to one of these days. There's some really neat videos, like Streamline on YouTube. They have some really nice videos on how to grind up your own paints, or like historical pigments. That's really cool. I have, this is a modern palette, but I have incorporated some historical pigments in here, like lead tin yellow. So I do like historical pigments too. You know, I'm not that old school though. I don't have Vermilion in here. I just have Cadmium Red, Deep, Old Holland. It's like my go-to red. No, I don't use water. I use Gamsol, odorless mineral spirits. Sometimes I, you know, if I'm feeling very fancy, I'll use Spike Lavender, which is actually the safer solvent to use if we're talking about studio safety and stuff like that. But in general, just Gamsol, just odorless mineral spirits, and very little actually. In my cup, if you look at the palette here, my cup is like right to the side. I use very little odorless mineral spirits. I think I conjecture that it's better to have less of it out rather than having like a big tub or something of mineral spirits. Just put as much as you're going to use for the day, if not less, because you really don't need much of it. Hey Ruth, oh yeah, I would love to do that. Make genuine ultramarine blue with the lapis. That would be awesome. Yep, this is linen. Yep, this is linen. This is double oil primed, fine textured. I also have quadruple oil primed, very fine textured linen as well, but I saved those for studio works. Which, if you haven't used oil primed linen and you've been painting for a long time, I highly recommend it. Once you use oil primed linen, it's very hard to not use it anymore. Okay, alright, so now something's missing here, so let's look for the missing information. She has eyes now, they're slightly believable. We've gone past the awkwardness, although it's still a little awkward, still a little meh, but we'll get there. Hey Ruth, do I sell my paintings online? Yes, I do. I have a Etsy store. And I have currently, I think I only have 2 paintings for sale at the moment. What I am not doing at the moment are commissions, because other than teaching, I pretty much spend all my time studio painting. I have a lot of studio paintings that I want to produce, so I'm currently not taking any commissions. I know many of you have emailed me about that, but I'm not doing that at the moment. Yep, no problem. Okay, well, it's a little different. Some cases are different. I also just recently posted a painting I finished, a studio painting I finished on my Instagram. I want to make art prints of it. I'm actually going to take down all my old ones pretty soon and replace it with one of my studio paintings. So if you haven't seen my recent Instagram post, it's a painting titled The YouTuber. It's a self-portrait. It's a miniature. By my standards, it's a miniature. It's a 18 by 24. Alright, so now we're gonna take out the eyebrows and then paint them back in. This just adds a more painterly effect and arguably a more naturalistic effect when you get the skin tone and blend it in with the eyebrow. Anton, she looks so vibrant. Complementary color canvas helps with this. I will say that, yeah, working on the gray tone definitely helps, but I think a lot of it is the lead white, flake white that I use. And I'm using a lot of it. It really helps with trying to get the most out of your colors. Especially if you're going to do portrait painting. Will this painting be sold among us? Oh, everything is for sale. Oh yes, this one will be available on Etsy once it is complete, however long it takes to complete. Okay, so yes, eyebrows need to be adjusted, and I'm going to adjust the edge. Hey Monica Carson, let's see. We have a comment here. This is wonderful. I do think the skin tone is too yellow. She presents pinker than, let's see, this inspiration. Yeah, no problem. I would say that the color on here is nowhere near as, I want to say as vibrant as her skin tones under the light that I have her under from life. So there's going to be different variations of color. It does look different in different lighting. So, for example, this camera has less resolution. I gotta be very careful because I don't want to accidentally show my studio painting in here. So as you can see, it's a little different with this camera. So I'm actually gonna take this out. I don't want to accidentally show my studio painting. I hope there we go. It'll be back, don't worry. I just don't want to accidentally show a figure painting on YouTube. Then the world would explode. Okay, it's back. Phew. Okay. So, eyebrows. Yeah, the camera definitely alters the color. I mean, look how red that parrot is. And that parrot is like almost pink. So it does alter things a lot. That parrot is one of my still life props that's just kind of hanging out there. Not a real parrot. It's not a stuffed parrot, in case anyone's wondering. It's fake. Oh yeah, I cannot show figure paintings here. Let's throw in some cadmium orange. I'm using Viridian and Alizarin for a nice kind of a foolish brown. Another thing I would suggest is have at least a 16 by 20 size for your palette. A small mixing space can be pretty limiting, depending on how you work, of course. If you work more in a value-based method, then you can get away with a smaller palette if you want. But for color painting like this, definitely large palette is very useful. Yep, happy painting, Brenda. Yeah, we're probably going to end the stream soon anyway, so no worries. At the most, we'll go up until 7, but I won't stream more than 2 hours. And I may do some work on this after the stream, but very little. And I definitely won't get into things like the hair and stuff off camera. I don't think. Okay, Kaisa, thanks for watching from Poland. Thank you for your comments. Hello from Beltsville, Maryland. Looking like we will go till about, I want to say till about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, depending on where you are, the time is different. Hey Nora. Oh hey, Alexandria, Virginia, not too far away from me. Hello there. And the next time we'll stream will be on Saturday. All goes well. Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. Hey Greg. Thanks for watching from Scotland. And Dado, thanks for watching from Norway. Hey Ruth, do I apply varnish? Yes, I do. I use Gamboge gloss after the painting has dried for, I'd say, a couple months. Hey John Machine, take care. See you on Zoom on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Hey Trevor, thanks for watching from Liverpool, England. Now I really want to build the light now. So let's go back and push the light. I'm going to use lead tin yellow, a little bit of cadmium orange, a lot of lead white, a loaded brush. Hey Ruth, that's the lost connection. Do you apply varnish? Yeah, I do. After a couple months, I use Gamboge picture varnish. If a painting is sold before a couple months, I wait till the painting is touch dry, and I still use Gamboge. You can use Gamboge if the painting is touch dry. Let's see, Edward Soto. Let's see, I love the way the face looks on the canvas. Looks like a Renaissance painting. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Edward. Yep, take care, Gary. I'll see you in the online classes. Hey, Ruth. Verdaccio Gray Green underpaintings. I've never done one. A greenish underpainting. I know what you're speaking of, but I've never actually used that technique. Oop, wrong color. Alright, let's start to key up some lights. A little bit of cadmium yellow pale. And I'm going to use cadmium green pale. And a little bit of transparent mummy. And this highlight's definitely leaning towards the greenish, right underneath of what some refer to as the tear bag. Oh, my greenish yellow would be lead tin yellow light, Michael Harding. And then I'll just go with a little bit of Cinnabar green light, Williamsburg. Now we're starting to key up the lights nicely. A little Cadmium Scarlet, Cadmium Yellow, lots of lead white. Now I'm keying it up, I think, even farther than my camera can handle, because I think on the camera it looks like this is just white now. I guarantee you it isn't. Now I'm going to start to add more depth underneath of the mouth. And I'm going to just switch to the shadow brush, turn it into a halftone brush. Although I guarantee underneath of a mouth there is a shadow. So put that in. Lavender rim. Wait, lavender rim. Thanks for your comment. Now even the sclera is going to have a shadow. Sclera is the white of the eye. Remember, the white of the eye is not white. It is some type of halftone. Mixing up black and white, some skin tone. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue. Anything but phthalo. There's a time and place for phthalo, but not in the sclera. Her eyes are a little bit larger and darker, I think. Gonna go in with Dioxazine Purple, Viridian, going for the right value first. Hey Greg, often I think half-completed paintings look so dramatic and are in their own way complete. Like now, love the painting as it is. Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I know what you mean though. I feel the same way with a lot of my favorite painters, like Nelson Shanks or John Singer Sargent, John William Waterhouse. Like a lot of their unfinished paintings to me are like amazing. A bit of raw umber here. Hey Draw, thank you. Speaking of which, we've got 20 minutes till 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so almost at the end of this stream, but I would like to bring back something that I used to do before, which was the group, crowd questions. I'm going to start with my answer. I'm going to start with the question and answer first. I'm going to ask everyone, who are your top 3 favorite artists of all time? My first one is Nelson Shanks. My second one is John William Waterhouse. My third one is John Singer Sargent. So who are your top 3 favorite artists of all time? and go. There are about, I think, there's a few of us here, so I want to see a few, more than a few names show up here. So this gives the viewers a chance to write question or write their comments down. Hey Dado, how many hours of work does it take to finish a painting of this type? I'd say maybe maybe 10, or at the small side I'd say 4 hours. At the long side I would say 10, but it could take longer. I did a head and shoulders self-portrait like this that took me 2 months. So it really depends. There isn't a set answer to that question. I could leave it the way it is, and maybe if I'm lucky it will sell at an auction or something, but usually it really just depends on what you're trying to say in the painting, what you're trying to express. Alright, Dado, Soroya, Zoran, and Boldini. Ooh. Okay, we have Lucy Jones. Cool. Thanks for your comment by Draw. Let's see here. Your mentor, Erwin DeVerles, John Singer Sargent, Johannes Vermeer, awesome. And now Edward coming in with Sargent, Bob Ross, and the guy that painted Flaming June. I can't, yeah, that's slipping my mind. Fabian Rubens, Manet, Rothko. Oh, nice lineup here. How can you paint creativity like this? Creativity. I'd say creativity is something that is inherent to everyone. Everyone has a sense of creativity, but you need to acquire the knowledge in order to express creativity. So learning how to do your craft, whether you are a visual artist or another type of artist, it's important to have the training in order to express what is already in your mind. Ingrid coming in with Rembrandt, Sargent, and Peter Paul Rubens. Awesome. Hey Ruth Woods, what's the largest size painting you have done? I'm working on one that's the largest painting I've ever worked on. It is it's 3 feet by 5 feet. Hey Mark, let's see. I'm glad you liked the demo. Bucarel, Soroya, and Rembrandt. That's a good one. Oh yeah, 3 feet by 5 feet. Yeah, I'm still working on that painting. I started it like a month ago, I think. I've been working on it several times a week since then. Edward. Let's see. Imagine it's going to be a pain to photograph the. Oh, thanks. Yeah, photography is always tricky with painting. Hey, Carol. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be in there. Caravaggio, Da Vinci, Hopper, and then me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so when you're photographing large paintings, like the 4 feet by 5 feet one that I'm working on, I would highly suggest a large space and multiple lenses, which I'm going to have to invest in soon. I'm going to have to ask some photographers for help with that one. Hey, Kimberly. Velasquez, Monet, Pepe, Larraz. I gotta look him up. Awesome. Hey, Amanda. Hello there. Hey, Ruth. Let's see. Da Vinci, Van Gogh, Salvador Dali. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Those of you that are in the US, I would highly suggest Jerry's Artorama. In particular, if you're trying to find these brushes that I'm using. I haven't had too many questions about them, but I would highly suggest you go to Jerry's Artorama. That's where I order mine. Hey Dada, do I know Crayer, the Danish painter? No, I don't think I've heard of the name. I think someone mentioned that earlier today, but no. Unfortunately, no. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. Jerry's Artorama. Alex. AAJWA. Do we have to put a layer on a canvas before starting to paint? I would suggest it. I I went with the neutral gray. This is a alkyd tone that I put on this canvas. Yeah, you don't have to, but I highly suggest it. And those of you wondering why I'm doing this instead of this is because of the glare. I don't want to create too much glare that I'm going to have to blur out later. Hey Greg, it's late over there. Well, thanks for joining. We only have about 9 minutes anyway, so don't worry. The stream will end at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so just 9 minutes. So don't worry, you won't miss too much. Hopefully I'll see you on Saturday. Saturday is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so a little earlier for you where you are. Hey, gaming expert. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Pthalo Art. Thank you. A little bit of Cadmium Scarlet. Ton of Flake White. Hey, Alex Vid. I have 20 something colors here. I have a combination of, I have Williamsburg, I have Old Holland, I have Rublev, I have Gamblin, Michael Harding. I think that's all of them. I'm probably forgetting one. But if you check the description box of the video, I have them typed out for everyone to see. A lot of the earth colors, like natural pigment colors, are Williamsburg, either Williamsburg or Rublev. A lot of the cadmiums, I think all the cadmiums actually, are a combination of not Williamsburg, a combination of Winsor, Newton, and Gamblins. Hey Ruth, I'd say it is what you put into it. These days, it's actually much harder. I think. But no, that's a, you can ask me that. It's certainly not enough to survive on your own if you're thinking of doing it. But other avenues such as Skillshare and Patreon and all of those are a little better in that department. Have I ever tried Lucas? Yes, I had a Lucas. I think it was a titanium white. Lucas is pretty good. The artist grade colors. I haven't tried their student grade, and I don't use student grade. But the professional or artist grade Lucas is pretty good from my memory. Certain colors of mine are brand specific, such as Cinnabar Green Light is a brand specific color. That is a Williamsburg color. Zodia. Taking AP art right now, and I have no motivation to paint. Can you give me any advice? My advice would be if you're trying to force yourself to paint, then it's probably because you might have a preconceived notion in your mind of what painting should be. I invite you to go beyond the boundaries of what is currently on your mind and just paint something. Set yourself up a canvas. Look at what's in front of you. It doesn't matter what it is. Start to paint it. You will surprise yourself at how difficult and fun it is to paint an environment around you, especially when you're kind of in a rut, like trying to find motivation. Yep, take care, Kathy. And yes, it is 6:59, so we've got about a minute till the ending of this stream, and this is at a good point to let be. I might adjust a few things, but I won't do too much. The next time we return to the next live stream will be on Saturday. Saturday it will be 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will continue to work on this, and I'll probably start painting in some of the color for the hair and maybe introduce the flower crown, and then I don't know, we'll see how many more streams it'll take to finish this one up. So that is about it. I'm gonna hang out for a minute or two, see if there are any last questions. I'm just typing over here. So, any questions, everyone? I hope you enjoyed this 2-hour virtual painting session. Hey Ruth, where am I from? I am from Beltsville, Maryland. I've been living in Maryland all my life. I lived in Philadelphia for like a year once, but other than that, just Maryland. And thanks for all the likes, everyone. As always, if you would like to see more of my educational content, if you would like to see educational content, please check out my Patreon. Please check out my online classes. And of course, if you want to see more of my public painting videos and live streams, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Well, thank you, Ellen. Great work with your classwork, by the way, Alan. Hey, Gabrielle, I am 29, turning 30 very soon. 30 years young in about a month, or actually less than a month. Hey, AJWA, did we have to prime our canvas? If you're working on a acrylic prime canvas, I would recommend putting at least one layer of oil paint. This is an oil primed linen, so it was already oil primed from the get-go. Well, nice to meet you, Ruth. And thanks, Doreen. Oh, good question. Any advice for fine art portfolio for college? Last I heard, that was a while ago since I was that young. Maybe not that long ago, just 10 years, or actually longer than that. What, like 12 years ago now for me? Back then, it was a lot of, you know, could you draw a person from life? Could you draw things from life? That's what they looked for in art colleges. You know, my advice, if you're looking for portfolio content for a particular college, is to look at the department, look at the portfolio of the particular department. Like if you're applying to RISD or something, or MICA, or one of them. I can't really speak for them, and I won't speak for them because I don't know, but my suggestion would be to look at the graduate work. Look at the graduate and the faculty work. That can give you actually an idea of what they're looking for. Hey Edward, how many transparent colors do I have? I have quite a lot. I have a lot of transparent and opaque colors. If I were to count for you, I'd probably, my approximation to transparent colors would be, actually let me just say one. This one is transparent, 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 transparent. So about half of the colors on here are transparent, so maybe like 10 of them. Hey Doreen, oh no worries, we will be back. The stream actually just ended. I'm just hanging out answering any questions that I can. We will continue this on Saturday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, thanks for joining, Carol. I look forward to hanging out with you on our next Zoom session. Okay, so I think that is the majority of the questions. So thanks for watching. I'm trying to type here with one hand. Hold on. Alright. Well, that is about it, everyone. So thank you so much for watching. We will continue this on another stream. It should be dry by Saturday. So take care, everyone. Hold on. Questions? Do you think it's too late to start oil painting for portfolio if there's 1 year left. Certainly not. Certainly not. I started oil painting senior year in high school. Senior year. I was 17, 18. And I got into art college, so although I did leave and go to another, but that's a story for a different video. But no, you're not too late. You're definitely not too late. Oh, well, thanks for watching, Sweet Tart, if I read your name correctly. Well, thank you so much, Doreen. All right, take care, everyone, and I will see you on the next one.